Today we're starting with a warm-up here, and if you weren't in class, we were doing things like I put numbers on the board, for example, like f of 5. So how do you evaluate f of 5? Well, that's 3 times 5 minus 7. So 15 minus 7 is 8. And if I did like f of 2, that's plugging in 2, so that's 3 times 2 minus 7. 6 minus 7 is negative 1. So first thing in C, will you change that to 8? So the first thing you got to do is for each sequence, describe a way to produce a new term from the previous. Letter B, find the 10th term, and which of these is geometric, explain how. So if I start looking at these sequences, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, I know I'm going to add 10. Letter B, 0, 5, 15, well, I'm not adding anything. I don't know about that one. I'm going to come back to that one. And C, 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, it's doubles. So it's times 2. So this second one here, 0, 5, well that's 5, 10, 15, 20. Well, so it's like the change is going up by that. So the next one's going to be, it's changing by 5 more, maybe is a way you could describe it. So if we have to find which sequence has the second greatest value for the 10th term. So we have 5 here, so 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120. Well, this one would go 32, 64, 128, 256. If I double 256, 512. So the next one I'd add 25, so that'd be 75. And then we got to add 30, so that's 105. And then 35, so that's 140. 40 would make 180. 45 would be 225. So the second one would have the second greatest value. Which of these is geometric? Well, when I look at that, it's only letter C because it's being multiplied. So let's take a summary of this one. The types of sequences. So geometric, which we've looked at, that is when you multiply, and it has a common ratio, or sometimes we call it a common growth factor. So that is like sequence C. Another type of sequence, that the first one, that adding one, is called arithmetic. And that has what's called a common difference. And that is when we are adding or subtracting the same number. So is it possible to have something that's both arithmetic or geometric? So I want you to think about that for a while and see what you come up with. I would say yes, because I would say like 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. We could say that we're adding 0, or we could say that we're multiplying by 1. So Jada and I are trying to decide what type of sequence this would be. 2, 6, 18. I think its previous is geometric because the common value in row 3 is 3 times the previous row, times 3 times 3. My says I don't think so. I graphed it and it doesn't look geometric. Well, one way you can graph these is on Desmo. So you might be like, well, how do you graph it? So one thing we could do is we could make a table. And 3. And we can get the points on there. So we had 1, 3, or 1, 2, 2, 6, and 5, 18. 1, 2, 2, 6, 5, 18. So what does it mean to me look geometric? Well, the other day we said that it was exponential here. But I like what's, Jada said, no, well, what should this term be? That's the 5th. So I'm going to argue that that should be 3. So I want you to think a bit and think about how are arithmetic and geometric sequences alike and different.